Chapter 1. Grandad. Robert was excited. He was going to stay with his grandfather at the weekend. Lucy, his cousin, was going to stay too. She was the same age as Robert and they were good friends. Suddenly, the telephone rang. Robert answered it. It was Lucy.
"I hope we have a great weekend,"
said Lucy.
"So do I,"
said Robert.
"It's always good fun at Grandad's."
There were two things about Grandad that Robert and Lucy really liked. First, he was very clever. He was an inventor. He invented lots of things, but mostly he invented new kinds of mobile phones. The other thing they liked was that Grandad loved history. His house was full of history books. When Robert and Lucy came to stay, Grandad told them exciting stories from history. The cousins loved the stories because they were true. Robert knocked on Grandad's door. Mrs. Green, the maid, opened it.
"Hello, Robert," she said. "Come in."
"Hello, Mrs. Green," Robert said. "How are you?"
"I'm fine," said Mrs. Green.
She took his bag from him.
"Your grandfather is in his study."
Robert hurried into Grandad's study.
"Hello, Grandad," he began.
Then he stopped in surprise. Grandad was sitting in an armchair. His foot was bandaged.
"Grandad, what happened?"
Robert asked.
"I've hurt my ankle," Grandad said. "The doctor says I mustn't walk on it for a few days."
"Poor Grandad! Does it hurt?" "I'll help you, and so will Lucy." "Where is she? Has she arrived yet?"
Grandad looked worried.
"I'm not sure," he said. "I think she has disappeared."
"Disappeared?" said Robert. "What do you mean?"
Grandad leaned towards him and whispered,
"I think she has travelled back in time."
Chapter 2. The Time Travel Phones. Robert looked at Grandad amazed.
"How could Lucy have travelled back in time?" he asked.
Grandad showed him a mobile phone.
"Look at this," he said. "This is not an ordinary phone. This is my newest invention."
Robert thought the mobile phone looked ordinary.
"What's special about it?" he asked.
"Do you promise not to tell anyone?"
"Not even Lucy?"
"Lucy knows already."
"Not even Mum and Dad?"
"I'll tell them soon."
"OK. So what does it do?" asked Robert.
"With this mobile phone, you can travel back in time."
"Wow!" Robert exclaimed. "Can you really do that?"
Grandad nodded proudly.
"I've worked on this invention for 2 years," he said. "It's ready now."
Robert's eyes widened.
"How does it work?"
"Let me show you. You put in the date you want to visit. Then you put in the place you want to visit. Then you put in the password. Adventure."
"Did you tell Lucy this?"
"Yes, and now one of the time travel phones is missing."
"How many time travel phones have you made?" Robert asked.
4.
Grandad shook his head.
"I'm worried, Robert. I think Lucy has used the missing phone to travel back in time."
"Wow!"
Robert exclaimed.
Where do you think she has gone?
Grandad picked up a book. We were looking at this together last night, he said. It's about the Great Fire of London in 1666.
I think I've heard about that, said Robert. What happened?
In the